Hi and welcome to Old School Blues Guitar. It is time for the classic solo lesson of the month for October through December 2017. I have a request for the solo from the acoustic tune, Black Cadillac by Hopkins. This tune actually has 4 solos. So what I'm going to do is teach the first one, then I'll show you some of the highlights from the other solos. And you can take these different licks and ideas and put them all together in a lot of different ways if you want to. And I think you can figure out the rest of the stuff if I show you the main licks. So let's start out. It's in the key of E, and it's one of those what I call lightning shuffles in E. The basic rhythm goes something like this. That's not exactly from Black Cadillac, but it's from that type of song that Lightning did so often. So let's start out. The first solo, he sings a couple verses, and he goes into a kind of a stop time thing where he plays this, and this is the first part of the solo. So there's the first part of the solo, which is over the stop, which is basically over the 1. So this first lick, he's just sliding from the 3rd fret to the 5th fret on the 2nd string with the 1st string open. And then he's playing this pattern. So it's da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Then he pauses. I don't hear him hit any bass strings here. You could. Then he does this. So it's pause, and then you hear the open 6th string hit. One more time, slowly. Then he goes back to that same lick. So this time, and then he's going to do this little run. Just 3, 2, open on the 2nd string. And then something that I haven't heard in any other Lightning songs, he's gonna, sounds to me like he gets the 3rd open string and just downstrokes and lets it ring for a couple counts. So let's play that whole first part of the solo, first solo for Black Cadillac again. I'll try to play it slowly. That's really kind of cool. He's just hitting the open. Sounds mostly like the 3rd and the 2nd string. And then he does this part. So this part here, when you come out of that stop time, 1, 2, and then he's going to come into an A chord. And I hear him hitting the open 5th string, but I think he's got this position, the 2-fingered A, where I've got my 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and my 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. So when I hit that open 5th string, I'm also getting the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and it gives it that A kind of rings out before he goes into the next phrase. And also, if you have your fingers here with that 2-fingered A chord, that leaves your ring finger free to do this. Kind of play back and forth on that 1st string. I'm not very good at that. That's kind of an awkward position, but that's how he's doing it, I'm pretty sure. So he does. Right there, he's going to do this hammer-on, pull-off thing, trill thing on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. And that's another reason why I think he plays that chord shape, because then he could just take that finger and do that. And then he's going to go to an E. And this, I've got a 2-fingered E chord. Actually, let's go back to the A, because I didn't really teach that. I'm using my ring finger going 3, 2, and then open. So it's 3, 2, open, 3, 2, open. So like this. And the whole time I'm using the monotonic bass on the open 5th string. So one more time. And then into the 1. And I'm just making an E chord. My first finger is on the 1st fret of the 3rd string. My second finger is getting both the 5th and 4th strings at the 2nd fret. And then I'm using my ring finger, it's a little stronger, and doing that lick. And I'm using a little pickup note, so I'm going. I'm going to get the 3rd string. So it's like this. You hear that? I'll play it without the bass. And I'm pretty sure that's what lightning's doing, or something extremely close to that. So let's take it from here again slowly. Then right before he goes to the 5 or the B, I can't really tell what he's doing. It sounds almost like he's taking his pinky and he's dragging it. He's picking the 3rd fret of the 2nd string and then sliding it to the 2nd fret and then pulling off. Something like that. So you hear this. Try to do it with my ring finger. It works easier, I think, with the pinky. At least it does for me. And then we'll go back up through all this in a minute. He's going to go to a B7th. I'm just making my normal B7th chord. See the tab for the shape on that if you don't know this one yet. And it sounds like he's getting mostly from the 5th to the 2nd string when he does this. So it's like this. Let's play that whole thing one more time. Right about there. And then he's going to do one of these. So this is a lick out of the 1st position E shape. Open 2nd string, 2nd fret of the 2nd string, open 1st string, and then bending up a little bit on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. Played quickly. That's the first part of that. Now I'm using my right hand. I'm using mostly my 1st finger when I pick that, but you can also use your thumb since there's no bass going on that. That's with the 1st finger. And then the rest of the lick, something like that. So I'm just going open 1st string, 3rd fret of the 2nd string, open, 2nd fret of the 3rd string, open, 2nd fret of the 4th string, twice. So let me play that whole lick from the B7th slowly. Something like that. One more time. And that's the first part of this. And then he's going to do this to wrap up the verse. There's one little part there I'm not so sure about. So he does this. Let me do that one. And there's a wait, and then he slides. Sounds like from the 2nd to the 4th fret of the 3rd string. And gets a little bit of the open 2nd string in there. And then he's going to just come back on that, on the 1st position E scale. Open 3rd string, 3rd fret of the 2nd string, open. Then I hear, I think, what sounds like the open 3rd string before he goes to the B7th, the 5, to wrap up the verse. Let me try to play that part slowly. Something like that. So the whole part, let's play that whole last part from the B7th. the song, which is a stop time. So what I'm going to do now is try to play that whole solo through slowly one time through. Play it through one time slowly. That makes more sense. So here we go. So it's... That's the best I can do right now, but I think that's pretty close to what he's playing there. So in typical Lightning Hopkins style, he's using that double stop, which he uses all the time on the 5th fret with the open first string. He's also got some first position, what would be the first position blues box licks over the first position E chord, which is typical Lightning. The one that's really different is when he does this. I don't think I've heard that one before. I'm sure he does it somewhere else, but for me that was kind of new. So there is the first solo from Lightning Hopkins' Black Cadillac. Now the second solo, he does something kind of similar. He's going to go to this lick. And then into the A, playing the A bass rhythm. So all I'm doing here, this is an E double stop, first fingers on the 7th fret of the first string, ring fingers on the 9th fret of the 2nd string. Take that and move it 1, 2, 3 to the 10th and the 12th frets, and you've got an E7 double stop. And he's using that same, remember this opening lick for the first solo. He's doing the same thing, but with this double stop. Just like that. And he's going to do this on that same position. So our fingers are basically in the same place, but then he's going to throw in the single string run. And what I'm doing is playing over that E7th shape. And what I'm doing is going from the 10th to the 12th fret on the first string. And then back to the 10th fret of the first string to the 12th fret of the 2nd string. And then I'm going 8th fret of the 2nd string, 10th fret, and back. So the whole thing sounds like this. Pretty simple little lick. One more time, I'll try to play it slower. I missed it there. One more. And there is that. And then from that lick he goes to the A, back to the E. And then he goes to the B7. Then he does another lick, something like, where he's doing just a little variation on the licks he was playing in that first E position. Something like that. Thinking through the third solo that he does something like this, or actually that's the fourth one. Let's do the third one. He does something on the bass strings. And he does something like this. I'm trying to remember this exactly how it is. And he's just sliding to the 7th fret of the 5th string with the open 6th string. And he plays that open 6th string in there too, so it's something like this. He's going to go to the 5th fret, back to the 7th fret. I can't remember exactly how he does that, but plays something like that. And then at the end of that verse, he goes to the A, to the E, something like that. And he goes to the B7, 2nd fret, 4th fret on the 5th string, 2nd fret on the 4th string, and he's going to slide. And it sounds to me like he's putting probably his ring finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string, sliding to the 6th fret, and then getting the 4th fret of the 3rd string. He kind of lets it hang. So it's something like this. And then it sounds like he does a quick little vamp between the 2nd fret of the 4th string and the 4th fret of the 5th string. I can't really hear it clearly on the record. I'm not sure what he's doing. So one more time. And he does like a, I think he does a word like pause there before he goes into the next verse. And then the final solo of the song, he does something like this, where he's doing this open 2nd string, 2nd fret of the 2nd string, open 1st string, and then this double stop, where I would guess he'd have his ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. Something like that. That part I haven't learned all the way through, but that's what he's doing. Kind of a cool lick that he does there. So if you listen to Lightnin' Hopkins' Black Cadillac, I went through the first solo pretty much note for note, very close to it. And then those other ideas are kind of the trickier parts of each of the different solo verses, at least as far as I figured out. And the filler, what's in between what I didn't show, is pretty much stuff that Lightnin' does all the time, and that you can find, something to play in there if you've listened to other Lightnin' stuff, or listen to the original recording of Black Cadillac, and I think you'll be able to figure out that stuff on your own. So I'll have the first solo verse tabbed out completely, note per note, and then I'll try to make little miniature tabs for each of those licks that I taught, in case you want that to look at. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. This is for Lightnin' Hopkins' Black Cadillac, the first solo, and some of the other solo ideas used in the other verses. And I will be back again in the new year, January, February, somewhere in there, with a brand new classic electric blues solo lesson, acoustic or electric. See you soon.